building blocks, so it is sponsored by ZK Sync, Orchid, and Arcadia.
Hi, thank you everyone. So, in my presentation, I will mainly focus and share thoughts and share the concept of EIP 7265. And later on, maybe as a side note, I will mention a little bit something about what I'm working on with TurtleShell. So, who of you heard of circuit breakers, maybe from traditional markets, maybe from TradFi? Yeah, oh, great. This will make it easier for you to explain. For everyone else, circuit breakers are basically in traditional finance a concept that under very not normal market conditions, the activity, trading activity will be stopped. And this analogy we're taking over with EIP 7265 to Web3. Why do we do that? One second. Maybe I need to click here. Maybe I need to zoom out a bit. Like that. Yeah, great. Because over $1 billion has been spent in smart contract security in 2022, yet 4 billion got stolen the same year. So this is a very inefficient market. It is a growing and big market, but it's very inefficient. Basically, for every dollar spent, $4 got stolen. This makes it obvious that clear methods are not enough. And therefore, we try to add a more proactive measure of security to the current stack of opportunities, or like current possibilities you can do. So what security currently looks like is you do an internal code review, do all the best before you go into an audit, then you pay for an audit. Eventually, when you go into production, you have your fingers crossed because you don't have proactive measures. But the only thing you can do is then have a bug bounty program, but as experience and history taught us, the incentives are very outlined against bug bounties, and not everyone is in for the beliefs. So many people are not white hackers and going to do harm. Therefore, EIP 7265 tries to bring in a proactive measure for protocols having post-deployment, in-deployment, in production, measures to be taken once those certain conditions are hit. And how do we do that? The standard, the first definition, and EIP is still in the making and still up in the discussion in the Ethereum community, but first, unlike the initial way of what we talked about it, and idea behind it is outlining a standardized way of how to basically track certain parameters. Oh, that's in the wrong order. We skip this slide, I think. How to, for example, track TPL inflows and outflows of a protocol, and for that create thresholds under which, if those thresholds are hit, security measures can be taken. However, it's not just TPL inflows and outflows, it's just the most demonstrative example. Any arbitrary number, any parameter can be tracked inside the smart contract, and this all happens on the smart contract level. Basically, it's a wrapper on the smart contract to track the TPL inflow and outflow in this example, and if a certain threshold is reached, trigger the circuit breaker to then take certain security actions. So this can be of what we've thought of now, but it can be basically anything. Pausing the protocol, blocking the transaction, freezing the funds, shorting the fund withdrawal, and even triggering a governance proposal and freezing the funds to then decide what to do with the funds. And the nice thing is that it's really happening all online, and it really does not execute the transaction once it is identified as maybe unintended by the measurement of the parameters. How this looks like is, or like one of the concepts without going too deep, we have the minimum liquidity retained in basis points and the tick length. So basically we have this, the threshold, and always given over a certain time period that we measure. And the settle, so this is basically the trading part, and we have the settlement module, and the settlement module is an interface that then decides, or like basically says, here is an event happened, and now we're going to decide what to do. And this is the general one that basically just says it has to be done something, but there are, like here shown, different ways in which they can be specified or negotiations to be taken. And this we can skip. And one of the great benefits of that is that it allows for a lot of great new use cases and also new incentives of how to, first of all, think about security and act in security. It's very hard to monetize and build products that are efficient and people want to use and pay for. And this allows, since we now have a above threshold that we can track and know these are the normal market conditions under which the smart contract will operate. We can now have, for example, we have a quantifiable risk, and this allows for great new use cases, like, for example, calculating on-chain insurance premiums, taking this into any other considerations of analytics and other tooling around. And that's also what we're doing with TurtleShell. It allows for DeFi protocols to use it for risk management, on-chain insurance. You can also use it for account abstraction. And what we do with TurtleShell is basically giving management tooling for the management and adjustment of thresholds, and management of circuit breakers, and also this product we have. And also this will be mostly free to use, and we're still in the making an SDK for protocols to have a seamless way of integrating circuit breakers. And yeah, this was basically it. We'd love to hear your feedback and questions, and we will have a App Connect for everyone who's going the circuit breaker meetup. When you scan that, there was a link tree also to the event to sign up, and we would love to see all the help.
So if I get any of this wrong, forgive me. So let's say that I want to transfer something from my wallet to somebody else, or I've got my wallet here. How do you know that that transfer I'm making over there is a real one?
Another false positive?
Or how do you know that someone from North Korea is hacking my account?
That's on a deeper level that has something specifically to do with.
North Korea, but it's any hacker. How do you know whether the transaction is a real transaction or a fraudulent one? How does it know to put the circuit breaker in?
This is identified by the protocol as what it says is normal operational conditions and whatnot. So, if you, for example, would now withdraw from your own account, let's say you have a smart account, on that level you would define those thresholds, and now for the protocol, which is like the most the most use case we're looking into, and we will see the most benefits. It would be clearly defining thresholds. Let's say you have an operational range of which outflows and inflows you have, or in which conditions you are operating, which are normal, not just. This can also go very, very, very deep. For example, Aave has also something they call flip switches, where under which specific economic conditions they say this is where we want post protocol. And given that, it would be like there would be no way to say, okay, this is effectively not for me also. But what we can say is it's all specific on-chain conditions, like there's a outflow. There's an outflow of the smart contract that it's not as fast as threshold. It would not go through. And this is basically.
I think it's a bit like if I think about it in TradFi, right? I've got a bank account with, let's say, $100,000 in it. If someone tries to move like 9999, 9,999, the bank doesn't have to do a fraudulent. It has to write a report over $10,000 for any transaction over that. But if someone, and normally my transactions are like $100. So you're saying if somebody tried to do like a $10,000 one, the bank might go, hang on, this is not normal. You're saying the system would do the same, right? Is that right?
Basically, that's the like way of what risk you wanna weigh more out for. You wanna. What I understood from your question is like, what if the hacker would be like moving above the thresholds and like just doing like kind of chocolate.
Or just below the threshold?
Just below the threshold. So like, he's aware, okay, this is the threshold, and now I'm gonna move out funds, and I can basically exploit upon the threshold without going to that. This is a problem of the circuit breaker, but it is still mitigating the risk of big exploit that would drain all funds. We have actually replicated a couple accident that happened and shown that it would have worked. And also, with the chocolate exploit, it would have bypassed. That's something I think, since you can calculate more accurately that risk and know this in a specific range, you could build products around it, and this opens new incentives and new opportunities for people to insure against that. But yeah, this can happen. It's just rather you want to take that, bite in that Swiss apple than have your wake up in your portfolio once again.
Are you working with any custodians at all, like Kamanu or Zolia or any of these guys?
No.
Because those would be natural customers of yours, I would have thought.
We are open to talk with anyone. Not to talk yet to custodians. Yeah.
Isn't it the type of, looking at it from another angle, isn't it the type of sensory?
Anyone familiar?
Accessibility, sure.
Sorry. Sorry.
I mean, looking at it from your angle, isn't it kind of censoring the transaction?
It basically does, yeah. It looks at the transaction is bypassing those thresholds or not, or is fair under those conditions that are identified as right or not, and if not, then if those thresholds are passed, then basically here you have so we have the minimum liquidity retained in basis points in the tick time. So basically the threshold in a given time period, you would, let's say, not more than 10% of my liquidity is allowed to be withdrawn within 1 hour. If that would be bypassed, and that's the sort of censoring we will not go through.
And this is kind of open source, right?
It's open source, yeah.
So the hacker also can exploit if stays below the threshold, yes, he can also see.
But I think that's very beautiful because he knows he cannot exploit it all. Maybe it's not, maybe it's below a point where he's still incentivized to put all the work in trying to find an exploit.
So the secret breaker's logic, where that would be on the smart contract? So isn't the threshold after we have it live?
Yeah, so the threshold is basically updated with the documentation.
Okay. So we think more execution.
Yeah, that's one thing. Depending on the implementation, and that's also like one thing we're very heavily thinking about is gas efficiency. We try to in our what was the ideal scenario would be it's just like all within without use of any Oracle or any other external prices or any external feeds you want to check against. Gas optimized way would be basically to check against the Oracle price, but there's many ways of doing it. It's basically more just introducing this concept, and what people make out of it is really on a protocol specific level.
Does it work only for Ethereum or for any EVM?
It's any EVM, it's any EVM chain. It's very, very, let's say, universal. Any more questions? No? We'll just try to make that a little more time in case you wanna scan the QR code. And yeah, thank you very much. And I hope when you think about security or learning protocol or working with somewhere, you can consider and give it a thought and see this as an option of going, not having just things cross the production. Thank you.